everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
Yeah. There's no mercy in this world, just hunger-thirsty persons in different versions. Each new update, that shit worsens. Why? Pull back the curtain and you'll see the different vermin. We all have different burdens that all seem to cause disturbance. Yo, so do me a favor, don't treat me like a neighbor. Don't need the different flavors of your problems just to savor. I've got my own issues, I need a comb to get through. Don't need to groan with you, just go get your own tissue.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Phillies Top Podcast, episode number 18. Man, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. But before we get into it, if you guys are new, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Also, check us out on TikTok, which is linked down below. Let's try to get to 1,000 followers on TikTok. That being said, let's just hop right into it. So, obviously, the Phillies kind of finished their series with the Diamondbacks. Quite honestly, would have been nice to actually have a 4-game sweep, but yeah, look, we took 3 out of 4 out of the Diamondbacks, which I will give them credit where credit is due. I think they're a team that is going to be legit in the NL West, but I think overall, the last 2 games, Phillies, they really fought hard. I really just don't think. Well, I know this team has been kind of inconsistent throughout from a good portion of the year, and the fact that. We had some guys, which we'll talk about in just a minute. And one person in particular, that's 2, actually. I think overall, this series, though, I thought was a really good series between these 2. And yes, game 1, yes, it was a bit of a disappointment. That's ridiculous. The fact that, we had. Could have, like I said earlier, earlier in the intro, that would have been nice to have a 4-game sweep against the Arizona Diamondbacks. However, look, 3 out of 4 isn't that bad either. Get us above 500 because let's be real, we've been. I see. I've been seeing that a lot of shit that on my Twitter timeline. But what's good, Lady Kenzie, Joe Girardi, Harry? What's good, Mike dude? What up, Little Spongy? Long time no see. Well, that's no surprise, but regardless. Now, looking at the series as over, like I said, the 2 people I want to kind of point out, and one in particular I want to nitpick a ton, and that's Aaron Nola. Let's be real. Aaron Nola, I mean, if you talk about the definition of inconsistency, I mean, the dude's literally inconsistent as hell. Now, that's not to say that's a bad thing, but I wish it would be on the right side of things. Because obviously in game 4 of this series, obviously that third inning, that 21 pitch third inning pretty much was his blow up inning. Because he will have those every once in a while. I won't say every once in a while, but there are starts where that'd be somewhat consistent with him. Like he'll have like a blow up inning if it's the third, sometimes the fourth, maybe an occasional fifth. But yeah, we are definitely above 500, but just in a way, I hate having a slow start. I've always been like a stickler to the slow starts. Now, granted, yes, try to get your feet wet and stuff like that, sure. But the fact that the way that we came out, well, I don't think Abel's going to be ready. Painter, I think, should be the closest one ready to come up. Now, yes, I'm one of the people in the minority that want Nola gone, but then again, like Nola's just kind of those kind of guys. Like it's weird. It's weird with him because it's like he'll pitch a hell of a game, two really good games, and all of a sudden we'll throw like say 3 clunkers back in his consistent starts. It's what Nola really is. No, I'm not saying Nola's then again, no, his numbers may not be great. I mean, it's not really what you want to see as well right now. Currently, is your number 2 because let's be real. I think we had to, if you do want to go after a starting pitcher, which we'll talk more, kind of obviously preview the trade deadline a little bit, and see who I want with this team, and Vasquez too. I mean, Vasquez. I don't know where the hell this kid is coming from, but it's been very solid. I'll give him I actually like him, even though except that one blow up inning though. But like I said, Nola and another guy, I think some people might surprise who are watching this stream right now. Seranthony Dominguez is another one I will nitpick a ton because obviously not a ton, but it's just not the kind of guy. Look, I think Seranthony's still a good pitcher. Don't get me wrong, but just he's not consistent as he used to be. And it's getting to the point where, in certain, yes, granted, Game 4, he got his retribution against Christian Walker after hanging that slider in Game 3, which was a backbreaker. But yet the Phillies still won in extra innings regardless, which should not have gone in extra innings had not Seranthony threw that hanging slider. I think 1-2 or 0-2. Can't think of the count at the moment. But it's just the fact that the pitch calling needs to be better in certain situations, especially if it's 0-2 and especially if you looked at Game 3, Christian Walker, especially against guys like Seranthony Dominguez, definitely against Gregory Soto, who I can say this too about Gregory Soto. Yes, I know the ERA is a little bit high, but Gregory Soto has been very been good with us since coming from Detroit. And same thing with Cody Clemens, which I know is crazy to say. I think we already have our first baseman, Cody Clemens. I would say backup wise. Currently, I don't want to actually have him in the starting lineup each and every day because the kids get better each and every game he plays. Because right now, if I would have to say who's going to be our current first baseman for the long term, it's definitely going to be Bryce Harper, because Nick Castellanos, his defense has got a lot better, especially in a span of a year. And you've looked at each and every game as well. Yeah, yes, I know early in the season, his defense was a little shaky. But as the season has progressed and stuff like that, I'm going to give Paco a lot of credit too. Even though we do kind of criticize Paco and, Dawson Watson for the mishaps, which we'll move on from that. But I got to give Paco a lot of credit for working with him and Nick Castellanos working with each other, especially with Nick, anyways, try to help, track the ball better and actually learn how to make and get better defensively, because we all knew that Nick Castellanos and let's be Kyle Schwarber, they're one of the two worst, let's be in terms of their defense, one of the 2 worst defensive outfielders that we've had. That's not to say that Nick Castellanos could be. It's not even a bad defender, but he's getting better in terms of his defense, because let's be the bat is already there. Because let's be the dude's hitting over 310, 315. I think we're almost close to 320, somewhere around there. The dude just keeps hitting. And I really like what he has done so far, especially in terms of his adjustments and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, I mean, there's going to be some times where he might swing like an idiot, but I mean, which guy doesn't nowadays? And you swing at a nasty pitch that's not even close to the zone. And I'll get to Kyle Schwarber in just a moment because it's kind of weird because I really haven't really talked about this a lot. But speaking of Kyle Schwarber, so shout out to Arku for bringing up that. Kyle Schwarber, yeah, the month of June, this is this dude's month, pretty much. That's where you see like the best time Schwarber breaks out. But I think after the month of June ends, there are sometimes you'll see him continue that hot stretch into the month of July. But there are times where he just completely falls flat. And speaking, and add to that too, especially the batting average. Yes, I know the batting average isn't there of what we wanted it to be, but the fact that his on base is high, his slugging's high, he's got 18 homers, 36 RBIs, but a low ass batting average. It's like, are we going to go through this again last year? Like his other statistics are high as hell, except for the batting average. It's like it makes you want to scratch your head and think it's like, what the fuck? Like for me, I've always was on the me and Tyler actually talked about this one time on the show. Like, we're not a huge believer in the batting average because, like, look, it is what it is. I've seen people hit absolute dog water, in terms of batting average, but they still contributed nonetheless. And that's the thing too with Kyle Schwarber too. Yeah, if you looked at this batting average, that's the thing too. And which, speaking of which, yeah, his negative WAR is I mean, the dude stinks defensively. Let's see what it is for what it is. But regardless, and that's another thing too. I actually wanted to and I've actually wanted to talk about the in terms of the free agency or and also free agency as well. I don't want to try to jump ahead of myself, even the trade deadline as well, because I think there's going to be some pieces where I think we could upgrade. Obviously, when Harper ever comes back to playing the field, I think he's definitely going to play first base, have Schwarber DH. I would say try to go after a left fielder if you can and try to get like another starter, maybe another bullpen piece, maybe. I mean, you really don't need much. Or if that's not the case, wait till the all season because, I mean, absolutely not. I'm not saying I don't like Mike Lorenzen, but the dude just does not have it anymore. I just don't see Mike Lorenzen coming to Philly. I just don't. Unless I'll be look stupid otherwise, but it's just I want guys that are more well established. And look, yes, Mike Lorenzen, yeah, very well established. Had his best years in Cincinnati. Ever since he left Cincinnati, I don't think he has really been the same, in my honest opinion. But it's just like I want someone like a Lucas Giolito, maybe a Dylan Cease when he's available in the free agent market, because I think if you can get one of those two guys, yeah, you can bump Nola down to the third, have either Giolito or Dylan Cease as your number two. And look, Taijuan Walker, yeah, he can get. I'm not saying look, the dude's not bad. But he's not great. Like he's like right in the middle. He's like a middle of the pack type of guy in the road. I would say in terms of pitching talent. Now the last few starts, I mean, but for me, the dude kind of gets hit around a lot. He doesn't have like the 96 to 98 stuff that I remember seeing from his early days and his good years too with Cincinnati and Detroit. Well, they got a. They got a long way to go. But regardless, it's just, it's not great. I wouldn't say Harper left, but Harper has always been willing to the fact that he could want to try to, you really can't take this team. Yeah, that's kind of surprising a little bit, but we'll that's going to be a topic for discussion at another time. But and look, that's the Phillies. I know don't look. That's kind of Harper's idea because no one with the loss since losing Rhys Hoskins early in spring training with the torn ACL, which by the looks of it, he's actually looks like he's progressing pretty well in terms of his rehab. And yeah, I mean, Cody, yeah, definitely Cody could very well be a everyday player. I mean, which that's granted. I mean, the dude has done phenomenally well since coming from Detroit. For a guy that hit sub 150 in Detroit during his entire career with Detroit, and it's like hit almost close to 270, 275 in a short period of time with the Philadelphia Phillies. It's really impressive to see what this coaching staff can do, and his defense has gotten better as well. I mean, I will have to say that much, as well. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, it's going to be interesting see what the trade deadline is going to hold. And there's, like I said, I said keep Bowman third because I still look. That's no hate to Emoto Sosa, but Sosa's mostly a shortstop by trade. I would definitely agree with Cassidy stays in right, or actually, that's actually not a bad. Well, we're gonna have to wait. We have to wait and see it, because from what we've been seeing, Harper's looks like he's progressing pretty well, in terms of his throwing program. But that doesn't mean to say that he's ready to come back in the field. So there's got to still be more time of basically what you need, at the moment. Cody Clemens, I think he's really well deserved that first base spot. I mean, as much as like Derek Hall, I think he's going to be a nice trade. Can move him at the deadline. And obviously Hoskins is a free agent as well. At the same time, or going into after the season as well. I mean, that is true. And I mean, that's Soto. I mean, yeah, that is true. But I think both. I will say Cody Clemens and Greg Gizzo both got the shine that they have gotten really. They actually performed pretty well, despite the fact, Soto with a 5.13 ERA, but that really doesn't really mean much. I mean, he has done really in terms of pitching. The moments that he's been pitching, I've been impressed. For Tigers fans say, the dude's a heart attack waiting to happen. Yeah, which happened. Yeah, what good pitcher hasn't had those moments? That's the thing. But no in Detroit. Yeah, let's be real. Detroit is not great in terms of getting your guy. You want to make trades there, but regardless, Cody Clemens. I think I don't think I said this, but I when we first traded to say, what. Originally, I was not really a huge fan of trading a guy like Cody Clemens, but then again, seeing what Detroit had to offer, let's be real, kind of the team he had to play with, his teammates are. Really, in my mind, I had the second guess, and you know what? Maybe Cheney Senior can do some good, and it's really paid off ever since then. Look, minus that one rough outing from Gregory Soto against the Texas Rangers. Dude's been, yeah, exactly. Like his ERA should be playing like a 4.3 or low fours. Like that's what he has done so far. Him, Jose, and for the love of God, Craig Kimbrell. What the see? This is what impresses me sometimes with our coaching staff. Sometimes looks like Craig Kimbrell, his velocity is back to what it really once was. Well, in a way, I don't think he's really touched 100. Oh, don't get me wrong, JJ. Yeah, I agree with that. Missing Matt Vierling car commercials, but Matt Vierling was not going to find a way to play anyways, especially with the talent that we've had. And same with Nick Maton. Unfortunately, we had to cut the losses that we had. It sucks, but if you want to keep being a contender, you're going to have to make those sacrifices. And that was the sacrifices that they had to make. Technically, Daniel, we actually took 3 out of 4. It was we lost let's be real, should have been a nail biter in game 1, but we took games 2 through 4. So we already won the series anyways. Sweep, like I said, sweep would have been nice. But I still think that the Diamondbacks are still a good, let's be real. I think it should be one of those top 2 teams, definitely in the NL West, because the Padres, let's be real, not really too much on that. But really looking at how this team has really performed well. So the thing with Kimbrell was, the fact it looks like he kind of turned back the clocks a little bit in terms of his, like he's been like, lowest I've seen him at his fastball was at 96, but he can sit 96 to 99. And it's like, and the dude's, throughout the ERA out the window, the dude's been a very nice piece out of this bullpen. And I've always said, and I will say this too, I would not mind to keep him another year. I mean, I think that we have the coaching staff to actually work with guys like him and try to refine the rhythm, in which we have done very well. Gregory Soto, was a two. I mean, look, if you took the wins and losses and the ERA away from him, he's been a very nice arm in certain situations when he needs to call upon. I mean, shit, if you looked at game 4, had the bases loaded, in the top of the 8th and got out of the jam against a guy like Christian Walker, Ketel Marte. The dude can get you out in the situations that can give you the balls to steal, so to speak. Because overall, I mean, I've liked what have we done in this bullpen. Now, would it be nice to actually have another 1 or 2 more flamethrowers, which would be nice. That can, pitchers that can actually pitch and also have some good velo behind it. And I have a guy like Andrew Vasquez too. One of those, let's be real, Mr. Reliable, which is kind of impressive to see. Well, we'll see. We'll see how that happens. We'll see how that happens. But regardless, though, I've really liked how this team's kind of strong, kind of just stringing wins along, even though it's been up and down, up and down. Like we split the Blaze series. Unfortunately, got swept by the Mets and stuff like that. It's that's trust me, it's that time of the day where I have to shave as well. So yeah. Well, that is true, and Schwarber has done, as much as I really hate him in the leadoff spot, but has really worked out well for us, which is crazy enough as it sounds. But hey, keep what it's doing. And Bryson Stott, I cannot look. I know me and Tyler have harped on this kid for not really in a bad way, but we've been very high on this kid. It just took someone to finally help him break through and get to where he is now. Let's be real, long term. I mean, as a second baseman, because there's been a lot of talks with it before even the season started. Talks of Stott being a second baseman because we've been pursuing a shortstop. And we had to cut losses with Segura. Yes, he was getting older, and kind of really worked out for us in a way. Trey Turner, yes, was off to a little bit slow start, but now starting to find his rhythm. Now the one thing I would nitpick with he needs to stop being so picky on when he wants to steal bases, because let's be real, the dude, Corbin Carroll too. Yeah, I remember that. But I mean, either way, it worked out with both ends. Anyways, Corbin Carroll, definitely unanimous rookie of the year for the Arizona Diamondbacks, in my honest opinion. Bryson Stott has done phenomenally well this year. That is true. I mean, don't we all? But, Gene was not going to be a kind of guy that you want to keep long term because he was up 33, 34. So you can only get him for, say, 2-3 years tops before you have to move. Think about the long term. I think that's a lot of times some of these teams really tend to forget. You have to think long term. And knowing that, Dave, say, Gene has tipped pretty well for us, but we need to start looking towards the future because you got guys like Bryson Stott. I mean, can get a lot of good years out of him. I can say you could get like 2, 3, about 4 good years out of Stott spots, or there was another one that I've seen on Twitter. Oh, right, the Power Rangers for Ranger Suarez. Now, who I would think has done pretty well though, in his last few starts. Now, yes, granted, there was times where he looked like he was a little bit slow out of the gate, which then again he was coming off of a forearm tightness injury. So I think overall, I've really liked how this team has come together. Yes, I know, and yeah, it really is. And really looking at how this team has kind of really performed. Yes, I know. Could have been a lot better than what we have now. Yeah, sure. But, You got marshmallows. Yeah, that is true. But I really like how this team has really strung some stuff together. And the fact that they just didn't want to give up. Yes, I mean, there were some, let's be real, there's some been nail biting losses, which then again, what doesn't happen in baseball? But there's times where I want to see this team be more than what they have. But then again, we can't really, I mean, I know it's kind of asking too much, but I really like how this Phillies, really kind of get over as well. And, credit to Rob Thompson, even though I've been very highly critical of him, but the fact that I think most of this season he's got to throw out twice because of things that didn't go the Phillies' way, or I would say they kind of screwed him. So, I mean, really love to see that. Oh, yeah. And that's another thing, too. Speaking of that game one, when JT hit the cycle and was so lost, and we come out game two blasting 15 because, yeah, we were pissed off. We were playing pissed off to the fact that, yeah, we fucked up JT's, even though JT hit the cycle, which, let's be real, the fact it took this long for a guy to hit for the cycle in a Phillies uniform, since David Bell since 2004. Yeah, that should tell you, it's after that's been kind of rough to get a cycle. But regardless, I've literally liked, and that's the thing too, I will nitpick a little bit. This offense needs to stop being so inconsistent at times. They want to kind of burst out, but they do have potential to put up 10 plus runs a game. That's the thing. Yeah, that's the funny thing too. Like when he put in that at bat, when it's just like Seranthony, I was like, oh boy, here we go again. But with Seranthony, when Seranthony got Walker, I was like, okay, okay, Seranthony, because I'm going to still be very harsh on Seranthony because look, the stuff is there, but I want to see what he used to be during his time especially in the postseason with Lisbury, he was Mr. Reliable out of the bullpen, and I do think this team, yes, I mean, right now they're a best wild card team, but that really can't really seem to say, they can, try to make a push for the division because, yes, right now the Braves still lead the division. Yeah, and that's the thing too. And yes, which stinks, but regardless, even though he may not throw in 100, the dude is still nasty nonetheless. And that's the thing too. I think where at times I think he's got to realize, yeah, you might not have to throw overthrow to get 100. Look, you can sit between 96, 97, and some guys I've seen some really good hitters really miss fastballs like that. And to be fair, I've Seranthony, yes, I mean there are times where I might have to see him add another pitch to his arsenal at some point because let's be real, having a fastball was I think sinker slider combination. Yeah, sometimes that will work a little bit sometimes, but a lot of times, a lot of hitters will figure you out one way or the other. I mean, we've seen that. Well, I know it's kind of off topic, but this is kind of what we're seeing with Spencer Strider with the Atlanta Braves. It's a sinker slider combination, and batters are figuring them out. And that's a lot of times I kind of don't like relievers who good has good stuff with two pitches, but at least have one extra pitch, like at least a changeup or something like that, just to keep them honest. Because I really do think that a lot of times that it's going to having two pitches at times because sometimes can bite you in the rear end, and that's the way I looked at it. At the same time, but regardless, though, Seranthony got the job done. Kimbrel shut the door. It's easy 1, 2, 3. And took the series away from the Diamondbacks. And now we move on to Oakland, which, to be quite honest, like I said, I will say this too: their fans deserve a lot better than what that city's giving them, and the fact they're going to lose that team anyways to Vegas, that speaks a lot for a team. Even though, yeah, you can blame the city for that. And also, too, blame the owner. John Fisher's too fucking cheap. Because let's be real. If you look at the different years that the Oakland A's have had that are not bad, you can see that this team had potential to be a good team. But unfortunately, when the Moneyball mindset came in, that pretty much ruined everything for that. But regardless, so we're going to a series with the Oakland A's. Like I said, winning on a 7-game winning streak. Now, like JJ said, you don't want to take them for granted because, yeah, I mean, they're one of the hottest teams right now, which is kind of ironic to say for a team that's been not great for the last, what, 4 or 5 years, how long has it been? I mean, for a team that traded away Sean Murphy, Matt Chapman, who else am I missing? I'm drawing a blank right now. Oh, Matt Olson. I almost forgot about him. Some of your key pieces, away to different teams and could try to. And granted, yes, you want to restock up on and build for the future, but in the way that the Oakland A's, that is true. That is true. Yeah, and Tampa's, that is going to be interesting to see. But looking at the series with Oakland, I think it's a 3 or 4 game series as well. Let me just check right now. I'll give you guys an update. But it's just like, I think this team, I think right now the best case scenario is try to sweep this team and try to get, because like I said, I mean, we've seen bad teams like Oakland, or teams like Oakland, say, or try to, when they get hot, at times that's not going to last for forever, and that's why I think a lot of times, like you said, JJ, the Phillies have to take notes on this team. Now, it's a 3-game set against. So right now tonight, so game 1 starts tonight at 9:40 with Taijuan Walker taking on Spears. Now, obviously, it's been a short sample size for most of the players for Oakland. JD Bleday has a $125 batting average career-wise against Taijuan Walker. That's only 8 at bats, so that's a bit of a short sample size. Aledmys Diaz, short sample size as well, 3 at bats. I think he's got 1 hit against him as well. Yeah, that's right. We do have our divisional opponents next for the next 6 games, actually. And with that off day on Monday the 19th. So, in terms of kind of previewing the series tonight, I mean, we got Taijuan Walker right now, 6-3 with a 4.67 ERA with 65 or 58 strikeouts. With Sears overall 1-3 with a 4.15 ERA and 65 Ks. And that's the thing you don't like. You want to jump on these guys early, especially because let's put the pitching rotation for Oakland isn't the greatest. Ken Waldichuk, I've seen games where this dude gets hit around like it's nothing, and it's like, it's ugly. But in terms of the matchups, obviously in some matchups, well, let's realize it's been a short. Like I said, in terms of the sample size, it's very short for some of these guys. Perez. He does have an RBI against Walker and 7 at bats, but only with a $143 batting average against him. Bleday hitting 125 against him and 8 at bats. Right, and Laureano right now has 3 at bats. So both Laureano and Diaz come right now by the looks of it is 1 for 3 career wise off of Walker, and Kemp has got 1 at bat. So, like I said, it's very short sample size, and obviously we have not. This is the first time we've been seeing a guy like Sears, But game 2, though, at Saturday, so we don't know. So we got James Kaprielian, who is another guy is the kind of guy you want to jump on early and knock around, because I mean, we have seen at times where Kaprielian just does not do good at times. And right now, overall 2-6 with a 6.89 ERA with 43 punch outs. Yeah, this dude, like, the dude's not terrible, but it's just like at times he has a tendency to get knocked around, and it's like the one thing that's, I think, yeah. I mean, overall 12 games pitched with the 2-6 record, a 6.89 ERA and 49 and 2/3 innings pitched with 43 strikeouts with a 1.71 WHIP. In his last 7 games, he's 2-4 with a 4.46 ERA and 6 games started. Has given up 17 earned runs, has walked 18 batters to striking out 27. But his last 15 games, that is, I would say I would say mostly 4th, maybe 5th if you're lucky in terms of the rotation. But the last 3 games for Kaprielian, against the Tampa Bay Rays, went 6 innings, gave up 3, walked 3, struck out 4. Pittsburgh went 6 innings as well, 1 run, 5 and that's one thing you want to keep an eye on as well, especially how this offense has been, is not just jump on early, but really get their pitch counts up and try to get into the bullpen. Because from what my understanding is, the bullpen is not that great for Oakland, or soon to be the Las Vegas A's, either way. But regardless, you want to try to get on these guys early and start stacking up runs. Now, granted, yes, the last few games, especially go back to the Diamondback series, we're actually getting better with runners to scoring position, because that's always been our biggest freaking Achilles heel, was runners in scoring position. That's always that's been the Achilles heel the last few years, and it's with the fact we're what 8 for 15 they won a game 4, I think it was, with runners in scoring position. I think we can, especially in a place like Ricky Henry, like O.Co., especially with a lot of space that has. I mean, especially you have guys like Turner, Stott, Bohm can run a little bit, and definitely Harper as well. If you can got guys that can run, they can be running for days in that ballpark when you really get a chance to. Because I mean, even JT, if you throw him in that mix as well, because O.Co., which I'm still going to call it that way, because it still looks like a dump. Really hate to say that, but I mean, then again, we have heard about, like opossums running around, it's not great. It's not a good. That's kind of and Walker, inspiration to the last few starts by Walker has gone like 6+, which is that's been beneficial for us. And I really liked how Walker, yes, I know Walker can get up to 95, 96, but I don't think sometimes he doesn't really rely on the velocity, but he relies on the movement he's had, sinker, splitter, occasional curveball, cutter, the entire 4 or 5 pitch mix that he has. And besides, I mean, we've seen this, where looking at Oakland, there are times I don't think Oakland's offense is good, unless we're not that great. And we're going to look at their schedule, because I want to see and give you an idea of the kind of the runs that they've been producing offensively. Now, obviously, the only time when they put up double-digit runs was obviously June 3rd against the Marlins, June 6th against the Pirates with 11. But ever since looking at their wins and losses, it's been very close, but at least 3, sometimes 4, depending on who you're asking, sometimes a 5. Sometimes they're not, that's not a good offense to really. And I think if you can have Walker on his best game again, I mean, who's to say? I think he can go straight 7 innings, and have a guy like Alvarado, Gregory Soto if you have to, and then have Cranbrook close it, and be done with it. That's the way. That's and that's the thing too that we all want to see, is to see this bullpen not get taxed, and that's the thing there, and that's sometimes that we and that's another thing too that I've actually wanted to point it out too, which we took advantage of after game 1. We've actually really took advantage of the taxed Arizona bullpen. Yes, I mean they had to throw guys that have not thrown, guy like a Kyle Nelson, and Andrew Chafin every so often when you really need him to. But, and Miguel Castro has been up and down, I would say. And my boy TRL actually would say the same thing. Yeah, we really took advantage of a weak, and taxed out Arizona bullpen, and, took the series away from him. Yeah, I'm not saying, that's look, it's nice to really take that series away from Arizona, because even though we do, for whatever reason, we struggle against them. But I really do like, and I think that's the plan going forward, is try to go out and attack this bullpen. I would say, and it's like, not to say, look, at times, yeah. I mean, look, we sometimes always in game 1s we always play close for whatever reason. Should not have happened, but I think right now the best idea is to really get this right now. Get on the big. Try to really attack Oakland early, and really, and I mean, like, try to put at least 10+ runs on them, so they, at least in a way, because I think this is what our offense is capable of, putting up 10+ runs a game, on paper. And at times, sometimes it's the execution. Sometimes we can't really. That really frustrates sometimes. But I really do think if we could put up like at least 5, 6, up to almost 10 runs, I really do think we can win games and win games away with good pitching, and try to not overdo the bullpen a lot in some games. I mean, it will make this season a lot more smoother, especially at going down to the since we're getting Ethan. I've heard Ethan Wilson's going to be coming up very soon. I don't know much about Nick Podcool, but and there's another prospect that I'm excited that may come up very, very soon, or that's in the near future, and that's Carlos De La Cruz. Carlos De La Cruz. Indicates that if we do want to go, or let's say we keep Cody Clemens, but we do need an everyday first baseman, which that's kind of what Carlos De La Cruz is. I've really liked how. I mean, yes, we got some really nice prospects, even though in a farm system that's not the greatest, I would say. Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah, it's Ethan Wilson. I've heard a lot of it. I've been hearing rumors or just rumblings about. But going back to what I was saying earlier about trying to get on this Oakland A's early in the series, because if you can do that and not overtax the bullpen, use guys when you use the right arms you need to press the right buttons. Yeah. And that's the thing too. Another thing too, I would definitely would. Yeah, that was kind of stupid. I will say that. I do like Johan Rojas. I've been hearing a lot of good stuff on this kid. But JJ, to go back to your thing with Nolan Kimbrel, the difference is Kimbrel can blow right by you at 95 plus. That's the thing too. That's a lot of times that Nola occasionally will hit 95, but sometimes he'll sit between like 92 to 94 at best. And I've realized, yeah, that's like kind of like meatballs nowadays for a lot of MLB hitters who have seen, because nowadays it's like 95 plus where you can really, can blow it by people. Yes, I know. Nola at times, the 4-pitch mix is nice to have, but there are some times where he's got to stop relying on the cutter a little bit too. Because I feel like that's a lot of times that's kind of pitch that kind of I don't think he's really perfected as well. I would have. No, if he would have perfected it if he can perfect that a little bit more, yeah, that would be a nice fifth pitch to have. And just keep him honest, because I think there's a lot of times we've seen hitters that have scouting reports on them. You can see, especially in terms of Nola with a sinker, curveball, occasional changeup, and a four-seam fastball. But, and then we'll see a little bit of bits and pieces of the cutter, but I don't think they're really going to not pay mind to that. Yes, and then that's another thing too. And the difference is, yeah, it's also the pitch arsenal too. Kimbrel's always been a two-pitch pitch, fastball, curveball, and the knuckle curve, even though it kind of feels like a wiffle ball by looking at it. But regardless, I just feel like Noah, I think to be honest, I think his arm strength needs to improve his arm strength a little bit. And I think he's got to change his mechanics a little bit, because I feel like there are times when you watch him pitch, there's a times where he just has a tendency to hang stuff in the middle of the plate. And that's a lot of times where I think that Nola times can really be, obviously get bit by the home run bug, basically. And overall, though, well, I don't think it looks. I'll say that I'm going to say this again. I don't think that's what I'm saying. It's more like, oh God. But yeah, it's sometimes Nolan, and that's another thing too. And speaking of the mental game, man, it's the fact that when runners get on, he seems to internally panic for whatever reason. Like, he doesn't do well with runners on base, which kind of leads to be. And that's the one thing I think sometimes he over relies on the strikeout a little bit, because I know he doesn't do well with runners on base because he's too deliberate to the damn. He's too slow to the plate. We've seen times where runners take advantage of that, and so do we on slower pitchers, but that's besides the point. But Nola, at times, he's got to quicken his pace, man. He's got to, yes, especially with this pitch timer, depending on who you're asking, this is almost been really mixed emotions on on them. But I mean, I think overall, I just think, Nola could be good, but he's not great as people are. And like, I don't think he's. Look, after 2018, I would say 29. A couple. I would say between 18 and 19, where I think were his better years. I mean, he was decent in this last few. If you count, let's be, I would discount 2020, but that's besides the point. But I really do think Nola needs to find a way to either one, learn how to stop not internally panicking with runners on base, and try to work through that. I mean, and that's the one thing that's I've kind of really noticed from a pitching aspect, is Nola in particular doesn't do well with runners on base for whatever reason. When we see like Walker with runners on, or Ranger with runners on, Wheeler, they always find a way to get out of it. Nola is the complete opposite. For whatever reason, he doesn't do, like I mentioned, like he doesn't do well with runners on base, and it's like you may not see it on the outside, but he's probably hit the panic button internally, where like you see like a lot of mistake pitches where he gets hit hard a lot of times, and that's the one thing that needs to change, or needs to be coached through. They need to work on that. I'm not saying that's a bad. No, I'm trying to knock them for that, but that's the one thing we cannot have right now. Especially before we get into the All-Star break. We got like another month or so before we get into the All-Star break, which is the biggest. This could be the biggest, which after the All-Star break is the biggest turning point for any MLB team going forward for this rest of the season, because it's going to be interesting to see. Nick Castellanos still needs to continue what he's doing. I mean, he's been playing what we expected him to be. Especially if you looked at with his time in Cincinnati. Yeah, I mean, the dude was defensively not. I mean, it's been night and day in terms of defensively, but offensively, it's pretty much the same in terms of just try not to do too much, just try to go the other way. Schwarber at times needs to stop relying on the home run ball a little bit, because I really do think there are times where. Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like runners on, like Noel sometimes fold. And that's the thing too. It's trust me. Like I know. Like I say, I haven't really played the game of football, but I know runners on can make or break you. Can make or break a pitcher sometimes. And in case of Nola, sometimes we've seen at times he works out of it. Sometimes he doesn't. Like there's no in between with him. And I'm not saying but there are times, there's decisions have to be made. Like, do you want to let Nola walk and go elsewhere? Because sometimes I feel like the pressure of, not say the pressure of playing Philadelphia might not do anything, but maybe we could do better elsewhere. But then again, for me, because I've kind of been thinking about this a lot too. It's like, and different options that they might have. Look, I'm not trying to overshoot into the all season, but what decisions they're going to have to do or make. Because you got some guys like, Nola, that's a free agent. You got more than a handful of guys to be free agents the following season. Because option one, I would say, try to go after a better start and upgrade over Aaron Nola, especially in the number 2 position, and try to also get a number 5 guy in the rotation, which that could be an option. Or there's been talks that that he was trying to ask for $200 million. But quite honest, though, I've seen this where this kind of plays out. If he does complete 180 and pitches some of the best baseball that he's shown that he can do, I could say you can get at least 6 years, 175 easy, $175 million over 6 years as released, but almost slightly over $29 million. More than what Rodon's making with the New York Yankees, and he has not pitched a single fucking game for them. But like I said, we'll see how that goes, because I mean, look, if Nola, like I say, can pitch some of this best baseball and try to help with the confidence, especially not have runners on. A lot of times we have won games behind Nola where when he's on. Now, yeah, and that's a lot of times where I think that's the downside to that, whereas sometimes it has, the offense doesn't really show up as much, which that needs to do as well, especially if we're going to have a good Nola pitching and, offense can keep hitting and keep driving in runs. I think this team could be very dangerous, like we once were last year. But I'm not. That's not saying it's possible, but it's definitely possible to get back to what we, the same formula that was working. Especially, obviously with new guys like Trey Turner, and stuff like that. Gregory Soto, Craig Kimbrell, finally getting Jose back. Hopefully, Connor Brogdon work some stuff out down at AAA. Because I think Connor Brogdon is actually pretty decent, a decent arm to have in the bullpen. It's just at times like he just has a hard time figuring stuff out a little bit. So I think having him down in AAA for a little bit since bringing out Jose back from the IL, which in a way I thought I was like, that's a pretty solid move. And, kind of, and do what he did with Jose, try to figure out what the hell's going on, to work within AAA. And then once he comes back up, it becomes a dominant arm. Now, I'm not saying, and that's the thing too, where I like guys like Brogdon coming out of the pen, because he can give you a cutter, fastball, and a changeup. A lot of times, does he hit hard? Yeah, sometimes he does. But I mean, overall, if I had to look at this team at this point, I thought so. Minus that slow start, I mean, we've done this once before, last year, but the fact that we teams that we should have beaten. Definitely we did face two good teams early on in the season, the Texas Rangers and the Yankees, who, it's been night and day. The market for Rhys, it's going to be I would just say interesting because I don't know exactly what the market holds for Rhys. Knowing that the fact, since being hurt by that torn ACL, I think it kind of really diminishes value in terms of his free agent market. And I'm not saying, we can let him walk, but I don't warn mind, letting him walk for, and get better else in that position. Or in this case too, or you could bring it back on a cheap 1 year, like a team friendly deal, and try to rebuild up his value, because like right now his value ain't nothing, especially with him going to be hurt for pretty much for all this year. And who knows going into next year, into the all season and spring training as well, because we've seen at times how long a torn ACL takes to recuperate from. But what's that? Like I said, like right now, I don't know exactly what his market's holding right now. With guys like Goldschmidt, maybe Christian Walker could be on the move. So it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be interesting come to trade deadline and come free agency at the same time. And, because right now I'm not entirely too sure what his market holds for Rhys. But I think overall, I like what we have so far. Try to keep what is working right now. And if we do want to move on for Rhys, look, to be honest, I think that's going to suck. But I mean, I think it's best moving forward. And then, dude's, right now this year is already his age 30 season, even though not playing, but just turned 30 this year. And that's something I'd, take in consideration. Like, do you want to get younger? Because we have Cody Clemens, who's been playing some of his best baseball that we've seen, and we have not really seen in a while out of Cody Clemens. Look, Stott, I think, has done a really damn it, Urkel. But I get you, man. But like I said, in totality, I don't know what the market holds for Rhys. Especially, like I said, the dude's got still rehabbing from a torn ACL, which was kind of very unfortunate. Because I expected him to actually have a really good year this year. Because I know because he's gonna be like, it's like he's kind of in a way, I would say I'm not, because I've always said like he's always been a streaky type of player. Like like go on a stretch of games where he can be, red hot, and there are times you'll see him he can be ice cold. Like there's no in between. But I do believe, if we decide to say move on from Rhys, which in a way I would say I'll be more understanding of that than anything else. But I really do believe, or in a way you can upgrade over that as well. But we do keep him on. I would say give like another 1 or 2 year deal at least. Try to build up his value, and hopefully in the next trade deadline, try to move and try to move him at the deadline, at least get a decent return from him. That's the way I would look at it in terms of the market. But I think overall, I've really been impressed so far by how this team has been this past stretch of games, take 3 or 4. Let's be real, won a series against the Dodgers, which was pretty nice to see. Took 3 out of 4. From the Diamondbacks, which which was really well needed. But I think overall, if I'm going to have to really see how this team is going to do for the rest of the year, that remains to be seen. If guys can stay healthy, I think this team can push to make the playoffs again. Because I really do think this team could be absolutely, man, absolutely. Like I said, if anybody's got Phillies questions, look, I'll definitely answer them 100%. But I think overall, I'm really, because we're now 35 and 34. So got a good stretch of games to go before we get to the All-Star break. And my idea was, or the idea is, going into hopefully try not to come out slow in the second half, which we did a little bit in the second half. I think overall, try to keep this. Try to not like let's try not to overdo a lot of stuff, because I really do think this team can make another push for the World Series. I would think so, because I still think teams like Atlanta can be beat, because we've seen the times where let's be real, this year look, they're still one of the best teams in baseball. I'll give them that. But you have seen moments where the Braves don't look like themselves. Spencer Strider's getting knocked around, and and stuff like that. Which we have actually done pretty. We actually hold our pretty. In terms of our NL East rivals, teams we beat overall. And mostly in really good fashion was the Washington Nationals. But even to Atlanta, we always put up some good games against them. It's always the Mets, where for whatever reason we always have issues beating the New York Mets, which I think that has to change. Because look, the Mets, let's be real, the Mets are the Mets. They're gonna be right now hitting rock. Look, despite the taking the Subway 2 out of 3 out of that Subway series, I still think they're it's one of those not one of the greatest teams. But outside of, like I said, we're definitely face the Braves again. Don't get me wrong. And there goes my camera. What the fuck? But regardless of that, the Mets that's the one team we definitely have to beat, and really try to not really try to fuck up so much, because for some reason we just always seem not to do well against the Mets. Like I said, we'll see come the rest of the series. Right now, if I'm the Phillies, try to take care of business in Oakland. Like I said, try to jump on these guys just rotate 3 pitches right now early in this rotation. But that being said, I'm going to wrap it up here, because I got that's pretty much all what the Phillies have to offer. Hopefully let's sweep out Oakland. And that being said, if you guys are new, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you want to join in. And that being said, have a good day, everybody.